Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right? You got the gear, you got the settings, and you've watched all of the tutorials, but somehow your photos still feel kind of flat? Now, good news, it's not because you're bad at photography, it's because you've been taught it backwards. You see, I've been photographing for over a decade, I've done it professionally for years, and I can tell you, once you flip how you think about photography, everything starts to click and becomes just effortless. Let me show you what I mean. Tip number 1. So one of the biggest mistakes I made early on was diving into settings before I even knew what I was trying to photograph. Basically, I was enthusiastic, started to spinning the dials and changing my aperture without actually thinking about what I wanted my photo to be about. Now, don't get me wrong here. Settings, of course, matters a lot, both as a creative choice and as a tool to help you capture better photos. But focusing first on the settings is kind of like frosting a cake that you haven't even baked yet. Do you understand? Can't frost it if you haven't baked it yet. So in my opinion, before you do anything technical, just stop and ask yourself, what is the subject here? What am I drawn to? And what do I want someone else to notice when they are seeing this image? Because once you've answered that, then it's so simple to choose the depth of field, your shutter speed, or your focal length based on what you're trying to achieve. Because the settings should support the story and not be the driver of it. Now, personally, when it comes to setting modes, then I almost always shoot in aperture priority because I mostly find myself in these run and gun environment situations, and I want to personally focus on the scene, the story, and the composition, and let the camera help with the creative settings, if that makes sense, based on the exposure that I set. You see, in my humble Icelandic opinion, photography gets a lot easier once you stop trying to nail the settings and basically start to think like a visual storyteller. Boom, that was pretty smart. That Icelandic guy, he knows a little bit, you know? However, even if you know what the subject is, your photos might still feel a little bit off until you get this next part right. Which drives us into tip number 2. By the way, I made a free 30-day email series, 1 short tip a day on how to compose your photos better. We're diving into the fundamentals as well as how to use light and then color and tones to help you create better photos. It's totally free and you can find it in the description down below. Anyway, here's something I can kind of guarantee we've all thought. If I just had a better camera, a faster lens, a bigger sensor, then my photos would finally look like the pros. But here's the truth, a better pen doesn't make you a better writer, and a better camera doesn't make the photographer. Now, I do want to add and say here, because I can already hear the YouTube comments down here below, is that of course better gear helps, especially for certain types of photography. It's pretty tough to go out and shoot a crazy moon photo without the proper rig. And overall, more expensive gear often helps to produce higher image quality and resolution and so on and so on. But in my experience, and here's what I'm trying to get to here, is that gear only really helps once you fully know what you're doing and why you need it. It shouldn't be the first thing that you focus on, which is such a common thing that I see when people first pick up their camera. And I get it, gear is pretty awesome. However, the real difference between a boring photo and a powerful one has most often, unless it's an artistic choice or whatever, nothing to do with the specs, but everything to do with how you see things. You understand? Although many YouTubers tend to act like it, then photography isn't about the tool, it's about noticing what other people miss. For instance, the way that the light hits the wall at 4 a.m. can be pretty beautiful, or the way 2 strangers cross paths can be pretty sick, or the contrast between stillness and then motion. You understand? We are artists, goddammit. And when it comes to these next level photographers, then seeing is the superpower. And the cool thing is that it's a power that you can practice. Now, I do want to double click and drive home my point about better gear one more time. And bear with me, you will like this, because I know I will get some comment here. You see, some of my all-time favorite images were taken with gear that most people would consider to be entry level. I'm talking old used Sony APS-C cameras. I have an A6 300 there and an A6400 up over there. But the thing is, with these images, the light just hit right. The composition was pretty good, although I'm talking about myself. And maybe the frames even told some sort of a story. And that is the part that no camera can really do for you. It's our job as photographers to do that. But of course, the camera is a tool that helps you with that. But again, I'm saying a lot of buts here. Focus on training your skills first, learning to see light, shape, story, composition, emotion, and all that. And I can guarantee you that you will be shocked how quickly your photos level up. And then, my friend, when you do decide to finally go and upgrade your gear, it will actually make a massive difference because now you know what you're looking for. Wow, I'm getting all hyped up here talking about this. However, and this is a big however, this won't fully click until we cover the next tip. So we are gonna dive into tip number 3. And my friend, this is important. You see, you can have the most beautiful light, the most interesting subject, the best timing, but if your composition is messy and not on point, or just simply flat out sucks, the photo, it won't really connect and land. In my opinion, you can think of the frame like your stage and you are the director. Bear with me, I know that Icelandic guy is getting pretty poetic once again. This is like my poetic phase in life. But here's what I'm trying to get at. You decide what and who gets the spotlight, where the action happens, and what gets cut out of the shot. Composition is about guiding the viewer's eyes, and it's about saying, hey, look here, this is the point of the photo. And the beautiful thing is that it does not have to be complicated. In my opinion, some of the strongest photos are the most simple ones. And it's also one of the hardest things to do too at the same time. Kind of weird how that works, right? But a good little framework that I use often when I'm out shooting is to ask myself questions like, what is the most important thing in this frame? What is competing with it? And can I move, reframe, or simplify it to make this clearer? Often, or at least in my opinion, the best photos are the ones where you remove distractions and you're not adding in stuff, just like I mentioned before. I actually got this fantastic tip from one member of the Darkroom, which is like a private community that I run for photographers. You can kind of think about this like a gym, but for photographers. You come in, you practice, you have some fun, and you connect with other people who are truly as passionate and nerdy about photography as you are. Honestly, I know that I run the thing, but I absolutely love it in there. I'm in there daily. And because it's built for connection and growth, it's become such a powerful tool to get better. Now, members get full access to my entire Lightroom Masterclass, all of my digital products, and we got spaces specifically for giving and getting feedback, which, my friends, is so valuable when you're trying to improve. I mean, for example, just look at how good Liam has gotten in just the past few months. But he's been so active within the space, he's constantly pushing himself, constantly trying out new things, and it's really starting to show in his work. I mean, his photos right now are just amazing, and honestly, I'm super proud of him. It's just fantastic to see the progress. Anyway, the spots are limited, and at the time of the recording, we're currently open. So if you want to join, my friend, you can find more description. You can find more information in the description down below. And yes, the tip I was talking about that I got from the community member was, let me think, it was, yes. So a good tip to improve your composition is to shoot in black and white, because it strips away all color, so you're basically just left with shape, balance, and light. And what that does, it kind of forces you to compose your images better, because you don't have colors to rely on as a crutch, you understand? However, here's the hard truth. Composition doesn't just make your photos look nice, it makes it, how do I explain this in English? Readable? Because it tells the viewer where to look, what to feel, and where the story is happening. And once you nail that, even a technically imperfect photo can still feel powerful and intentional. But my friend, as with everything else, this goes a level deeper. So that leads us to tip number 4. All right, you might be focused on what you're photographing, the landscape, the person, even the moment. But more often than not, it's actually the light that makes the image work and really becomes incredibly good. So a little metaphor. If photography is music, then light is like the melody, and everything else, the composition, the subject, the color, it's just like the rhythm and the harmony about it. You see, light, it defines shape, it creates mood, and it gives the entire emotion to the photo. Hard light, for example, it creates tension and drama, while soft light, on the other hand, it can feel warm and really nostalgic. I was going to say calm, not warm, but come to think about it, it can also feel warm. But soft light, it can feel calm and nostalgic. And then backlight, which is one of my favorite types of light, it adds dreaminess and shadows and some mystery as well. It's really cool. It creates silhouettes that way. Basically, if we come with some like tangible examples, then you can think about portrait lit with just one single light. If the light is coming from the side, it adds depth, mood, and some intimacy because it creates a little shadow on the face, which adds more depth. Just like here in the studio, I have my key light here in 45-degree angle, so I'm getting a slight little shadow here, which adds a ton of depth. Now, if the light is then front facing, if we go back to the window with the model, you place the model then straight in front of the window light, then the light is of course technically clean, but you will get a light that is very front facing, very like beauty dish, and it's just a completely different look. Same subject, but totally different outcomes. And when it comes to landscape photography, it's exactly the same. I'm asking myself questions: where is the light coming from? What kind of light is it? What is the quality of the light? You see, one of the best landscape photographers I personally know of is my friend Mats Petter Iversen. And if you just take a look at his work, it's not just that he's always in some stunning locations, it's his composition and light, and he's like an absolute master of it in my opinion. And I just want to double tap here that he's not always actually in like stunning location. He's from Denmark, and Denmark is not known for being this like mecca of landscape photography. It's not Norway, it's not Iceland, it's not Greenland, it's not Faroe Islands, it's not the Dolomites, it's just Denmark. But somehow he's able to capture photos there that are absolutely next level. And I know that he really likes this challenge of going out in Denmark and trying to find these epic locations. But if you really take a look at his photography, then the way that he understands composition, light, and color theory is what makes his photos so good. So I definitely recommend studying him a little bit. And I can almost guarantee if you do that, scroll a little bit on his Instagram and try out his shots, you will become better. I mean, he's just next level. So after hanging out a little bit with him recently, I've become kind of obsessed about finding these pockets of light. You know, that kind when it's like mostly cloudy, kind of flat, but then there's like one shaft of sunlight peeking through. And if you're really done with it, then you're trying to make that like light up your subject. That thing is just absolutely amazing when you can capture that. And the thing is, it's been on my mind a lot lately, and the more I look for it, the more I'm able to find it, because it's a skill, and like with anything else, you train it by paying attention to it. So here's a good little thing to keep in mind. Before you even lift the camera, then ask yourself, where is the light coming from? What is it doing to the subject? And can I move, wait, or reframe to make it better? These questions are really good, and they made myself a much better photographer. It's pretty sick how simple things can make you better once you fully understand it. Anyway, a little real talk here. Once you start thinking about light before you press the shutter, everything just changes, because you'll be spending less time fixating on things in editing and more about capturing images that are good just from like the beginning in camera. And then once you take the photos and put it into the editing, that's where you take it to the whole nother level, because you have an already sick photo and you're about to do and take your sick editing skills to make it just like clang, and people will go like, oh my God, how did you do that? Like, press the like button on this. I live for likes. My job is just harvesting likes, you know, and taking some sick photos while doing it. Anyway, in my humble Icelandic opinion, light doesn't just illuminate your subject. Sometimes it is the subject. Are we like going too deep now? Has that Icelandic guy maybe been smoking a little something? All right, tip number 5. So if you spend any time in online photography spaces, it can honestly sometimes start to feel like you need to know everything just to be like a bit decent or average. Dynamic range, sensor sizes, megapixel color size, autofocus tracking, hyperfocal distances. It's a fucking lot, I know. And don't get me wrong, like some of this stuff obviously matters a lot, especially once you grow and get better, and when it's things that you need for the type of photography that you do. But what I'm trying to get at here is that when you're learning, you really only need a few solid tools in your armory, or like in your toolkit, you know? Because here's the thing, you don't need to read the whole dictionary to write a great story. You just need the right words and you need to know how to use them well. Woo! Baby, that Icelandic guy, the metaphor king, baby. Woo! I should maybe start a metaphor channel, you know? I'm on a metaphor roll. Anyhow, in my mind, it's the same for photography. I mean, if you understand how exposure works, how lights affect your subject, how to compose the scene with intention, and even how to tell a story in one frame, you are already ahead of the curve, you know? I mean, most people, they just whip out their camera and capture photos that kind of suck. Sorry, I'm not trying to be on a high horse. I'm just talking to what I see online. So my friend, the point that I'm trying to make, you don't need to master everything at once. You don't need to shoot in every single genre there is, and you don't need to own 14, 15, 16 different lenses. Although, like, owning that many lenses is pretty sick, and like the ladies love a guy who owns a bunch of lenses. Basically, in my opinion, what you need is to go deep on the fundamentals and get really good at the stuff that actually makes a difference. If you take a look at most working photographers, they shoot on the same camera, the same lens, and the same settings pretty much every single day. All right, that's maybe like exaggerating a little, but I think you get the idea. The reason I say this is that I've worked as a freelance photographer and many of my best friends are full-time model photographers and they pretty much just dialed in their entire work process. That means that they know what works, they're not changing or chasing different features, and most importantly, they're focused on the story and capturing impactful and beautiful frames. I mean, look, I used to work as a professional card magician for years. And the difference between an amateur magician and a pro magician is that an amateur knows maybe like 100 plus tricks, just a little bit, while a professional only knows maybe 5 or 10 tricks maximum really fucking well. Like I'm talking to the point where you don't have to think anything about any slide or anything that you're doing. Every beat is dialed in. Now for photography, it's maybe like not that strict, but the professionals I know, they mostly use only the tool that they actually need to get the job done, and that's it. So what I'm trying to get to, and the point that I'm trying to make, is that you don't have to feel behind just because you don't know everything yet. I mean, hell, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. I know very little, you know. Basically, you get really far by knowing what actually matters and what will give you the results you need at any given time. However, here's the part that kind of no one tells you. Even once you know all of this, the light, the gear, the composition, the intent, and all of that good stuff, your photos might still not fully hit. At least mine didn't. Not until I figured out the one thing, or actually like a few, that completely changed the way that I shoot. That's what I'm breaking down in depth in this video right here. It's the missing link that pulled everything together for me, and I think it will do so for you too.